Sanibonani, Dumelang. Welcome back to the Runway podcast. I'm your host with the most, Gcina. And yes, I host the Runway podcast. If you've been living under a rock for whatever reason, this is the Runway podcast where we get to have very practical conversations around business and just basically lifestyle. We invite different people to talk on various topics, especially your industry experts, where we know they'll have some gems to share with our audience and our community. And every now and again, we invite Morado. Yes. Okay, there's the whole juices pose there. But I mean, yes, every now and again, Minara and I get to actually have a practical conversations around other things as well, whether it's business, whether we talk about whatever it is, anything that we feel can actually help you on your journey to get on the runway and actually, develop yourself, whether it's personally or in business. So today is another sit down. We get to talk about. Okay, we've got topics written down, of course. Let's welcome Murad. But at this point, I feel like you can also do the intro. Like,
Should I? Oh, yeah, there's a promotion, eh? Thank you. I
Like,
think
come on.
I'll
this
give
is
it a go. We might have to cut and,
start again and
Yes.
roll again. No, we're not going to do that. So we have basically noted a few topics down, and we're going to talk about it. I don't know where to start, but essentially, I'll go with the list.
Okay, no
Let's
problem. Yeah,
keep it
yeah,
just
yeah.
as it is on the list. Let's go straight into small business systems,
Yeah,
right?
small business, yeah.
You are a business owner. I'm a business owner. You start off in your business as the sole owner or, the one person that's working there. And then you build your business to such an extent where now you employ other people, you service different clients, then you have to get a better team, you're training them and all of that. But one thing that we've had this discussion before that's missing in business is basically the systems of the business. Because it means when you're on holiday in Mauritius, can your business actually be sustainable? Can you actually be able to run and still make sales and still basically continue the day-to-day workings without you?
Yeah, which is the challenge that most of us are
That
experiencing.
most of us are facing, yes.
Yeah, it's a big one. I think the reason that someone thought of small business systems as a
Yeah.
service to the community is they identified the challenge that we go through, because at a certain point in time in business, you stop and look back and you are, you're tired. You just feel exhausted. Why? Because
Yeah.
you're doing everything in the business.
Yeah.
So someone actually thought of saying, let's develop a system to see if we can set this entrepreneur free to
Yeah.
do other things that have to do with entrepreneuring and stop this person from being an employee in their own business who
Yeah.
has to basically do everything from beginning till the end. So, yeah, I think a small business system is extremely important, especially if you're an entrepreneur in the modern era.
When in your business do you apply systems? Because there's kind of two conversations that I think in my mind we need to have. The one, how soon we should start implementing kind of systems in the business. The other conversation is the money. Do you have the money as a small business to invest in business systems? And if you do, how do you make sure that it's kind of sustainable? You're able to run your system on a daily basis when we know cash flow and money is a challenge in small businesses.
True. I think when you usually say business system, a lot of people think of systems, literally,
we're
that you're
thinking
logging
100K,
on and you're typing,
200K.
or it's a digital system in the business.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
business system in this perspective just basically speaks to the different processes that are running within your business. And the starting point of that system has to do with you understanding these processes. So you need to understand what it is that you need to do to create the product that you create, whether that be selling the makeup or maybe whatever it is that you do in business. You need to understand for example, if you are maybe in the beauty industry and you're doing makeup, you'd have to go and buy the products. You need to have a supplier that you trust, that where you procure the product. That's a process in its own, sourcing of the raw materials of the products themselves. You should map out the individual processes and understand them in due detail. And when you've got those processes, you will then need to have a product spec. Now, this product specification helps you to check how effective this system is. because you know at the end of the day, when you're done baking, you're going to have a scone. You're going to have a cake. And the cake should taste a certain way. It should look a certain... That's a spec.
Yeah,
But in terms of how we bake the cake, that's the process now. So the spec basically allows us to compare and say, okay, fine. Initially, when we started, we say we're baking a cake. Is this the cake we wanted to have when we're done with the process? Now that's a product spec. Now that process allows you to now say, I can train the next person. You understand?
Someone else can come in because it's documented in a way. It's available for anybody to be able to access it.
That's
okay.
true. Yeah.
I like that kind of thinking, because then it means that if it doesn't have to be digital, because I thought if you're talking about business systems, for me it was like, okay, it obviously has to be an IT related, digital, online. I'm thinking, dashboard.
Yes.
I'm thinking all of that already,
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then it just means we need to write down your business systems. We remember last week we had an interesting conversation, Lerato Dlamini, and she spoke about that's actually where you start as a business owner. You don't start by running a business, although we know Gutamanta who run businesses, we run businesses for different reasons, and we start differently.
True.
We don't always think about the systems, especially at the starting phases. We just go and trade, or offer the service to the market. We don't think about the systems. But do you agree, are you also of the school of thought, Guti, we should start with the business systems? Because it sounds like it's a business plan.
It's true. I think you should start and determine the processes. So go out there and sell. Don't start with because that's a big mental block to a lot of people. The moment you say business plan, it's a mental block, because now we're talking...
systems even sounds better.
We're talking sales projections. We're talking funding. We're talking competitors. So that becomes a little bit of a mental block. But if you start already with the process of selling, then you get to understand, okay, I'm selling acha. These are the ingredients I need. This is what makes my product special. And then you get you get the raw materials, and you put your acha together, and then it tastes amazing. You write it down. Okay, I need a certain percentage, a recipe. You basically write it down, and you know where to get what. That's as simple as it is. And then you exponentiate on that mentality, and that becomes a system which you will then definitely digitize at some point in time, where you will implement the systems when you have the budget to actually now allow this business to run on its own. So you start with the end in mind. You start now with the systems, because already if you've got one process running within the business, it's already a system.
So then, I mentioned in the beginning that Maukali business is just you. Do you then basically, this is something that it's like the blueprint of the business. This is what you will then use to train your staff, train new people, train CEOs, train managers, line managers, so that you train whoever you need to train, depending on what processes, what systems are in your business. I'm vibing with that.
Okay.
I'm vibing with that. Okay. I just want to know, though. Right now, according to you, what are the systems out there that we should start implementing? As a small business?
I think your understanding of your business definitely will obviously impact the scale at which you implement the system, the business system, because in system you've got operations, you've got sales, you've got marketing. Those are different pillars of the system, which is basically your business or this system that you're trying to run. So each and every one of those pillars has its own special processes. That difficult thing for people is when we tell them that you must implement a business system, then they think cost. And to say, where will I get the people to do the individual things that I need, which are supposed to be done within the business? I don't yet have a budget to appoint someone to do marketing or social media or sales. How do I then approach the discussion? I think you've got a few options in terms of approaching that discussion, because you have got freelancers, building relationships with people that are in industry who need your services as well, will also empower you to activate the systems that you need within your business. For example, you and I butter a lot of things. There's a lot of things that we do within this partnership that benefit me and you.
Yeah.
And most of the things that we do for each other, we don't even have to pay. So it's that same sort of mentality that will allow you to implement a system within your business that thrives.
Yeah.
So go to a guy who does graphics. See what it is that you could give him. See what it is that he needs, and allow him to do the content for you. Go to a guy who's a videographer. Try and build relationships with people within the industry, so that you set up your system so that it's efficient. Only when you have the budget will you open up that discussion. But for now, your services are worth something, and offer them as an exchange for their services.
Yeah.
That's the one option. For people that have the budget, you have the option of actually going out on the rampage and saying, I want to appoint a professional.
Yes.
I want to actually work with someone who is big in the industry that will make me gain a lot of traction. That's the second option if you have the budget. But like any other system, you need to understand the process.
Yeah.
So it's easier for you to start with building relationships that will expose you to the processes, so that when you even go to the bigger people, you're more informed of how to approach that discussion.
Yeah.
So that's you basically building a system.
Yeah. Okay. And then I mean it's quite clear. I'm saying I think I went into this conversation with a different kind of perspective, but I think you've kind of changed. You've explained that in a way that is practical, because if you literally, like I said, if you're talking to a small business, we cannot expect a small business to go and pay 150 for a digital or online system where they can't. But if there's options to actually go barter, I do something for you, you do something for me, we help each other, then that sounds like something that is very doable.
Definitely.
Definitely. And I mean, we can talk about the benefits of a system as well. But already it sounds like, I think we've explained it. Because it means you can step away from your business.
Exactly.
And work on it and not necessarily in it.
Yes.
Because when you are in it, you're consumed with the day-to-day. But when you're working on it, then you've got a bigger perspective, a more, you've
got a wider view.
You've got a wider view of the business. Yes.
I think also developing a system allows you to manage quality. Because we struggle a lot when we let go. You find that you were working with me and I was giving you a beautiful product, but when I get someone in there, then the quality
all of a
drops.
sudden,
Why? Because that person is not trained. They don't understand what it is that they must do. There's a lot of nitty-gritties that they need to grasp in a very short space of time, and it mostly falls apart. So a business system allows you to maintain quality. So you'll be selling your archer at the same spec. Why? Because you've got a spec written down to say this is how you compact it. And also, you'll build more reliability with your client. You'll seem bigger because now, if you're coming to Maano Media and I just send you there, you don't even see me. The last discussion we had was when you were inquiring about your service, and then I just injected you into my system, and then there you've got the end product. I'm not even there. How massive is that? That's big.
That's true.
A lot of people are not able to do that because they still want to micromanage. They still want to come into the nitty-gritty processes.
I'm guilty of that a little bit.
You think?
Not I think. I'm guilty. I'm literally declaring, but you know what? I think I have a problem up in here,
I think you're taking a good step. I mean, it's a good step.
First to admit, but you know what? There is a problem here. But I don't think it's something that can't be solved.
Okay.
It's just literally that for me, I'm just worried about who can represent my brand, who can represent my business. I feel like I'm the best person to represent my business. And so now I'm at a point where I can't necessarily represent my business anymore. I can't be the only one, at least, because I'm in back-to-back meetings every single week. It's things, it's that, and then it's traveling now. Which I'm just
which is nice.
Which is nice for me as a brand, but my business, then what happens to my business? Who's going into these meetings and representing me? So I guess it goes also with, growth requires that. And if there are systems, like you're saying, in place, I'm able to then, somebody can fit into a role because there's systems,
True.
And then I can decide which person that is can fit into that role or can do what is required at a certain time.
You can implement other, systems within that, performance management, quality management.
KPIs and see if I'm happy or not. True. And then it's a whole other conversation, HR, which human capital, dealing with humans. I think we've also touched on it behind the scenes somewhere, just talking about just dealing with the team and dealing with people. But I like where you're going with that. and it is a big conversation, and not everybody knows how to develop the systems.
Yeah.
We do tend to be overthinkers, some of us, especially when it comes to our business. We want things a particular way, but I think just the way you explain it, because we need to document.
Yeah, I
We're
think
halfway there.
document, train, exponentiate, and work on the system.
And work on a system. Yes.
So we're working on the business means that you improve the system. So this is your intellectual property, not now your vision spills into the system, and now you're working on something, and this something that you're working on is the one that gives the end product at the end of the day. But yeah, I think building systems is extremely
very important. And it also ties into then our next topics, which is the brand elevation and the importance of PR, right?
Yes.
I'm a PR, expert. At this stage. But no, I do pride myself because I do have the knowledge, the background, the schooling of it. And then I've done it on the ground, and I've done it for other people as well. So I do have the public relations and the brand building aspect of it all. And hence I do it for people. But this conversation that we're having about systems ties into that, into EPR, because now EPR is a function, and it's a particular function of the business. Just like there's a function of operations, just like there's a function of HR, there's a function of finance. EPR is one of those functions, and it's one of those things that are quite valuable to small businesses. And it's important then to, in your system, figure out where the PR comes in. You know, where people like me come in. Because then we know how to maneuver, because you already have your objectives, you already have your systems, you already have your process in place. These are, how do we bring in these elements of PR and maybe marketing as well to make sure with the brand,
it elevates.
Elevates.
I think my question would be, what is PR? Like I hear a lot of PR. Maybe also for the business person who's sitting at home. They you understand. But every time I hear PR, I just think a lot of money. I was like, I need to have a lot of money. I think let's unpack the PR first and then implement it and integrate it with the system.
Yeah, I hope I can explain this very well. But then the explanation that they give you when you're just talking about school, when school explanation, right? Or the book explanation is that EPR is public relations. That's the name of it. It is basically a brand building exercise for ama businesses. And it also is defined as advertising that's not paid for. So
it's powerful.
It's advertising, but it's not paid for. So it's basically, traditionally, when you would want to advertise, you would go to a media house, whether it's radio, print, newspaper, online, whatever, and say to them, guys, can you give me a rate card? I would like to place my advert on your content or in your platform. And you would pay for that. But in this particular case with public relations, we have to build stories. So you'd pay for it. So now with public relations is to tell your story in such a way that is of interest to media houses, that they can give back to their consumers. So for example, if you come to me and you say, hey, I'm Morado, Maano Media, I want to, build my brand with the people, but why should Murado be on this platform? Or why should Murado get this space in our platform? Whether it's a newspaper or a radio or TV, why should you get that space? But then us as, PR practitioners, we then say, okay, let's tell Murado's story. Murado is a guy that grew up in Soweto, who grew up, with a fairly, I want to say humble beginnings, but let's not lie.
What? It's humble beginnings. What are you talking about? You want me to unpack my secrets now?
So you grew up in humble beginnings, in the southwestern township, and you are a guy who is now building a brand that employs other young people. So then that's the story now. That's the human factor. That's the interest now.
Powerful.
That we basically have to relate, because then why you, like I said, so we need to tell your story in such a way that it is of interest to people. When
you talk about the story, it's like it resonates with me. I remember on one of my TikTok videos, I was talking about the power of a story. And I said, the power of your story lasts longer, has the potential to last longer than your legacy. It is actually your legacy. Because the one example I made is, do you remember the brands that Jesus Christ used to wear?
Yeah,
We,
like
we
no.
don't. You don't even remember the cars that probably, some of the most famous people used to have. But you
Yeah.
remember the stories, like your Mahatma
Yes.
Gandhi's, your
Yes.
Martin Luther King. You remember their stories, but you don't remember the brands. So the story is more powerful.
The
And
story,
yeah, that just
yes.
speaks to how powerful PR is.
PR is it's the
Yeah.
story, and I mean, and I'm hearing this conversation quite a lot.
Mm.
What is the story? Because we know there's a story. I was actually with Utemba Makamo over this past weekend,
Okay.
and I was emceeing an event, and he came through as one of the speakers. He said to me, Utemba Makamo is via footwear for anybody
Okay.
that doesn't know it, and he said to me, you know what? He's went on different meetings and different places, and the one thing that he does is to tell his story.
Mm.
So he doesn't sell shoes.
Mm.
He just tells his story.
Powerful.
And he tells his story so beautifully, because I've heard his story before, but when he told it again that day, I was still captured. I was still like, there's something about
That's
this
how good
guy.
it is, yeah.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and you want to support him because of that. You want to be
Powerful.
like, let's support this guy because his
Yeah.
story is quite powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine if you were to hear about a girl who was, Kulele as last born in Sprayed View,
Yeah.
from an average family. Her parents are teachers. She's told, go to school, blah, blah, blah. And she finds herself now running a multi-million rand business
Imagine.
across Africa that's
Imagine.
impacting more than 1,000 people's lives. But she never had those role models in her life. She just grew up with in the dusty streets, Ekas, not knowing even if there's, even in Ekas, there will be those role models, but there's very few people who you can really say these are progressive people like us and we can look up to. So coming from that background and now building a business that impacts people in Africa,
Powerful.
that's my story, by the way.
Imagine. That is powerful. Wow. I'm also captured now. I think I must get a pen and paper and write my story, eh? So obviously that speaks a lot and resonates with the business discussion now.
Yeah.
With this system that we're talking
The
about.
systems, yes,
Because
the
now
PR.
it informs the why.
Yeah, I got carried away.
No, I'm like, that is very insightful. That is extremely insightful, and it actually gives essence to the whole reason why we need to start businesses. Because when you look at the story part of it, you realize that this is not just a once-off sort of thing that I just want to sell the product and I'm done. I want to
Yeah.
make an impact somewhere,
Yeah.
and I want to change a life somewhere. And if you look at the big corporates, they're always making a difference. You look at them implementing programs where they give back because they want to make an impact.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the banking systems that they're giving to us. It's also about the culture, the mentality behind whatever it is that they're doing. So the story is extremely powerful.
The story is very, very powerful.
Yeah, and I was saying yesterday to say it's not necessary that the business you start should be directly related to your services. Why? Because there's a story element. How do you integrate Acha into my upbringing?
No, but the Acha is very simple. You see, that's why you leave the PR job to the experts.
To the experts, yes.
Because then you come and sit with me
Yeah.
in a consultation, and I will tell you about your Acha story, and we will
Okay.
make your Acha story interesting, and we will write
Okay.
content pieces that will
That's
appeal
powerful.
to people who also eat Acha ekas,
Okay.
or maybe somebody else who wants to start an Acha brand ekas.
Powerful.
You know.
Okay.
So we curate the story with you to kind of
Oh.
be able to tell in the media. It's not everybody that, okay, let me just say, Guti, not everybody's a storyteller.
Yeah.
Because even if we all have stories, that's
Yeah.
100%.
True.
And our stories are as funny, people to people. So imagine how many stories we have.
Powerful, yeah.
But who do you get on board to help you tell your story?
To help you tell your story.
that's
And
where
that speaks to the
brand,
the volume, the magnitude.
The
of,
magnitude,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
No, that's
who
powerful. That's
you trust with
powerful.
the story
That's powerful.
and can help you
Yeah.
tell that story.
I was also, let me
And
just
also-
pick your brains before you go.
Okay, I was gonna go
Because-
on. I wanted to say something quickly,
Okay.
Guti. This is now why people are moving away, but you don't sell, educate.
Okay. That's
Okay, I just
powerful.
wanted to add that.
That makes a lot
Don't
of
sell,
sense.
educate.
That makes a lot of sense. I wanted to actually ask with regards to the part of branding is storytelling.
Yes.
I said earlier, it's not always necessary to put the brand. What was I saying? It's not always necessary to actually name your business in line with the services that you provide.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
So name it in line with the services that you provide. So if I am a PR company, must I name it?
Okay, simple
PR
example.
practitioners?
Apple.
Well, okay. Okay. Yeah. Where
If you
is it?
listen and you hear the word Apple,
Yeah,
it
you
has
would
nothing to do with tech.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying sometimes I feel that's just my perspective. That's why I was touching base with you to say, is it always relevant for us to give
use
the name? Because here's my perspective, here's where I'm coming from. If I name my company in line with the services I'm providing, I'm sort of bottlenecking myself. Why? Because when I want to branch out of that space and provide other services, for example, Apple is a tech company, and they don't just sell phones. They sell software. They sell laptops. They sell watches. They sell a whole series of things that are not connected to the brand
To
name.
the brand, to the name.
Yes. So I wanted to just get your perspective to say, is that the right approach? How should we approach the whole discussion? Is the story more important than the service? Maybe to rephrase my question.
Yeah. I think the name or the brand itself, it doesn't matter what it's called. It's about what the brand stands for or what the brand is. And that is up to you as the owner, what you want that to be.
Okay.
Because Apple or Steve Jobs could have just named it anything. Anything. But we would still be able to make the connection because he's told that story. He's built that brand that we know that this is what he does. So let's when we come up with a name or when we come up with something for our, whether it's a brand, whether it's personal brand or a business brand, whatever it is, think of longevity, think of what will outlive you.
Yes, true,
you know,
true. The story.
the story for
Yeah,
me.
true.
For me, I'm sold on the story because this is my day-to-day living.
True. True. That's powerful.
And it doesn't matter how many times you tell the story. Hey,
Yeah.
you need to keep telling that
Keep
story.
telling it,
That's
yeah.
what I learned also this past weekend. To keep telling your story.
Yes.
And
yes.
I tell it. Okay, you can have variations. Just to make it interesting every time. But keep telling your
That's true.
story. People
And that's what
buy
we've
into
learned
people.
consistently with these owners of these big brands, because they keep relaying the same story.
They do. And you
Which-
think,
Yeah.
I mean, Theo grew up in Alex with nothing.
Why
Okay,
is
fine.
what does he
Bang
keep
on
telling
a part,
us this stuff?
but he keeps telling it.
Yeah. I think
Keeps.
it's quite amazing. Also, maybe moving on to our next topic, which spills into where we're going, brand elevation.
Brand elevation, yeah.
So, in your perspective now, look, I'm the host now. I'm asking the questions.
Yeah, let's have the conversation. It's back and forth.
Yeah.
Kaloksan.
Brand elevation. What does
Yeah.
that say to you?
Brand elevation. I wish I looked this up. I feel like I did look it up. I just forgot.
Okay. Let me start, ne?
Please, go ahead,
and
go ahead.
also maybe just because you've got the brand, you've got you as an entrepreneur spearheading this brand. Now the question is, how do you elevate the brand so that it, from a market perspective, from a marketing perspective, we understand PR. Maybe PR will spill in as well, and you'll give me your sentiments because I want to also learn from this. How do you elevate a brand to a higher level? And I want to just unpack this a little bit more and speak about how our electronic people do it, how other bigger corporates do it.
Okay, how?
For example, they do this in their creative, in my perspective, according to my research. I'm sorry to close this laptop.
It's okay.
They do this in line with how they present their products. So in certain design languages place more emphasis on the features of the product rather than the company. We know that LeJoy sells watches, right? But most of the time they're talking about the advanced tech that they've integrated into the watch itself rather than the price. They're always talking about the differences within the watch industry that they, Just to make it easy, I'm not specifically talking about them. Excuse me for pulling you into this discussion. But I'm just basically talking about how to elevate a brand. Because if
Yeah.
I'm just selling a product and I don't talk about its special features, it doesn't elevate. So most of the time when small businesses post or where they put information out there, they always put pricing as a selling point, which is where my discussion was going, is to say you don't always have to place emphasis on the price because people don't care about the price.
Sell the benefits.
People will die to own an Apple laptop. People will go and sell their toes to go and buy an iPhone. We've seen that before. So price is not really a thing. We will go and get the money, but we just want to see the beauty of your product, you know?
Yeah.
Because as a brand owner, I understand the PR part, you're telling the story, you're pushing the brand, but also we must elevate the product as well. The product will push the brand higher because of the certain specs that we showcase. So design language, this mostly comes back to design language.
Okay. Lord of mercy.
If you go take a catalog of a certain product, right, and you page through, now you look at the design language. In one page, you'll find numbers where they are talking about the price of the Galaxy A32, and they put the price there on contract, Galaxy A32 prepaid, and you have that page.
Yeah.
Sorry, on another page, you've got the device sitting there on its own, well lit, very nicely designed page that just emphasizes the beauty of the design. So that is now the design language. That's where we're bringing the product out to the market so that whoever looks at it can sort of go, wow, that is a nice phone. I can see myself having that phone. Another design element that these big corporates integrate into their stuff is they always show
I should
you
write these down. Branding.
Yes.
Features.
Yes.
Because now I'm thinking of the whole
How
thing.
do you elevate?
How do you elevate? Yeah. Okay.
Now there's a reason why they always show you the phone sitting alone, where it's not in anyone's hands. Most of the time, if you buy a catalog, probably on the cover here and there, people will be using it to show the target market. But most of the time, they're showing you the device alone.
Why? Why do they do this?
Why? Because it sort of sends a subliminal message. That device now integrates with you because you see yourself using it because it's in no one's hands. So that's the design language.
Wow.
You get me? So
wow. Is that what you did with also the King Play sneakers?
That's what you do. Because if you put it in someone's foot, then I sort of think, oh, well,
yeah.
I can't wear that.
Yeah. Wow.
But if you put it there alone, someone just sort of thinks, wow, I can
It's like the
that.
psyche. It's the,
it's there, but you don't,
subconsciously you're like, oh, that's mine.
Yes. You see yourself wearing it. Go look at products that sell earrings. I don't want to name any specific products.
Yeah.
But go look at people who sell earrings. Get them as a gazing, page them through. Wherever you see them, they're sitting alone. Why? Because they belong to you, the person who's going through the product. So that's how you elevate.
And you heard that first here, okay, on the Runway podcast. That's powerful.
Yeah, that's how you elevate.
Powerful. Yeah.
And everyone has learned this within the marketing space.
This
and they
feels
do
like a sales. You know, Suti, branding ties very, very closely with sales.
Definitely. Within the system, within the business system.
Within the system, yes.
You
must brand nicely so that you can get people, then you can make sales.
But
and
you are on point. It's a whole system. So when I see the beautiful pictures that Maano Media is taking, I feel like that could be me. And then when I start to inquire, the person that I'm talking to knows nothing about design. He's not even a graphic designer, but he knows the product and how to sell it.
Yes.
And then they capture you, then they make the sale. So do you see the importance of understanding how each and every one of those elements tie together? Because the PR person is doing a lot of work pushing the brand. When the traffic comes, the system must be ready, which is what happens with most of the businesses. Because I'm not ready for PR, but I've got a PR person who's going to bring me so much traffic.
Who's your PR person?
No, I'm just making a literal example.
Okay.
You're my PR person. What's your problem? I'm not, the point I'm making is I'm a business person. I've connected to someone who's going to give me multitudes of traffic, but my business is not ready for that.
Business is not ready.
I'm just one guy who is selling whatever I'm selling. When the traffic comes, there's two things that's going to happen. It's either I'm going to thrive because I've got the good network of people that will advise me on what to do.
Yeah.
Which is what I think another, I don't want to mention brands, but another brand that deals with beauty, local owned, you'll think about it. They also had that challenge.
Yeah.
They got so much traffic that they were frustrated. They didn't know what to do,
They don't know
but
what to do.
they elevated.
Yeah.
So that this system is very important, as I was saying, to say it's a system you build, and once you build it, it works like a machine to create you money. So I'm happy that we're tying it together with
with the
PR
and the branding.
Yeah, because it
brand
ties in
elevation
together.
is so important. And then whatever's happening in your branding elevation, like I love it. I love the idea of everything, like the system, and everything ties back together because you do the PR, you do the marketing, you do the social media. You funnel the traffic back to your business. It's like a funnel.
Definitely.
It's like a sales funnel. That's why
Definitely.
it ties into sales. And how do you go back? How do you convert?
Yeah.
More figure lapaya, is the system ready to convert?
Yep.
And get the money?
Yep.
Because we can do all this work and then is communicating there.
Yeah.
Because also if your brand grows too quickly and you've got a lot of people coming in, it's not going to be easy for you to kind of move in a...
Yeah, I think you're going to face a few challenges if you're not ready.
Yeah, you're going to get backlash.
Yeah, especially
your things
because
are not ready.
product quality is going to drop if your people are not ready to...
And if you provide a physical product also, if you don't have systems, I'm just thinking about products now.
True. So there's concerning product and the system, there's product development, which is maybe at a higher level, something that we think about later on in the business. Because each and every product has a lifespan. Regardless, whatever it is, we can argue this. You can be selling a beautiful sneaker, which is in a class of its own, but very soon there'll be another one. So this product needs to increase in terms of lifespan, which is why your people in the electronics industry, they keep redesigning. We've got an iPhone. We've got a Samsung. It's the new 830 something. Why? Because
X now. It's a
yes,
it's a 10.
Yes,
it's
each and every product has got a lifespan.
Yeah.
It should not be the case that you're selling us the same flavor for 4 years.
Oh no. Yeah.
You know, well, there are childhood.
Can you elevate your brand?
You know, there are childhood brands that have evolved. I mean, you look at Oros, we grew up drinking Oros.
Yeah.
It's still Oros today.
It's still Oros, but
they've
it's
got
flavor.
different flavors. We still have the original, but we are, moving forward.
Yeah.
So product lifespan is something that is critical. This also applies to seasonal products. That's where the topic is more crucial because you can't sell ice cream in winter. So you need to find another product that goes well within the same market that you're going to, push your business with.
Yeah.
So you can't, I mean, at the base of this discussion, we're saying you need to have more than one product within your business.
Yeah.
Because that product you're selling has got a lifespan. And if that product falls apart, what happens to your...
Product or service, ne?
Yeah. Yes. Product or service.
Yeah.
Yeah, because someone will always improve on what you're doing. You understand? So...
Lots and lots and lots to chew about, to think about, to process.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to leave this one here. Let's leave this one here so
All right.
that if people want, more information about PR or branding, they know that they can find us on social media or they can join our various platforms that we have. And we'll still come back, to this conversation and refer back to it. And build on it with more and more and more practical conversations every single week.
For sure.
But guys, that's it for today. That is our conversation with Mulalo. Please do us a favor. Don't be shy. That share button that's at the bottom of this video is literally what you can use to make sure that you are sharing our videos on social media. Tag Runway Podcast, tag Gcina Cherry, tag Mulalo, and just share it with as many people that you think this content can benefit. We don't do it for our health, obviously. We do it for you. We do it so that we can elevate our community of small business owners and elevate our fellow entrepreneurs in business as well. So please share the video, give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe especially, and make sure that you follow our partners as well. We'll link everything in the description box. But it's important for you to know that this podcast is shot live at Maano Media Studios, and Mulalo is the owner of Maano Media Studios.
Peace.
In case you, also with the peace.
My name is Peace.
Does that
Mulalo
Mulalo?
means peace.
Wow,
So
peace. Wow. Okay, so we'll be piecing quite a lot up in here, I see. But yeah, guys, join us next time. Next same time, same place. Next week. Any
yes,
parting shot?
we'll be here.
We'll be right here on this desk at Maano Media. And then, of course, we've got our partners at Opulentia. They're a luxury perfume brand. In fact, it's luxury in terms of quality, but it is affordable in terms of price. So you want to be able to connect with them for your diffusers, your room divider. But definitely your reed diffusers, your perfumes, your candles, and all of that. So make sure that you follow Opulentia on all social media platforms as well. But from me to you, it's nothing but love. Let's meet on the Runway podcast. Let us meet on Small Business Runway, as well as, what am I leaving out?
You've said everything.
I've said everything. All right, cool. That's it for now, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.